The AI bubble is all anyone wants to talk about across all the socials. And there's a ton of fear mongering about the AI bubble collapsing, comparisons being drawn with the dot-com bubble that we had seen previously. But there's some very key differences here that a lot of people are missing. And one of those is people trying to focus on the P/E ratios within the AI companies that have risen precipitously, but not realizing that this is such a niche bubble. It's such a small group of companies. There's 26 companies in my AI watch list. During the .com era, there was hundreds of companies that were including .com in their name. It was a much broader bubble across the market, whereas this is extremely localized. And many people across the socials, even in the Discord, are trying to time tops here. And I feel like, very good at playing the waves of the market. We didn't have to time anything. We look for periods of weakness. We've been able to catch those. And I'm telling you right now, I do not want to time this market. And even when we do historical analysis and compare this to the dot-com bubble, this is not the end. This is the start. So what I want to do this week is I want to take a step back. I want to talk about the broader narrative going on with AI, kind of walk you through my analysis of the space, what I think is going to happen, what could upend this rally, what could be the death of NVIDIA, and what I think the future looks like as well. So the first thing I want to take note of is what is the leader in this AI space is NVIDIA right now, and the chips that they are creating to create the infrastructure necessary to power AI, which is these huge data centers, right? So keep in mind, while in the dot-com bubble, there was no revenue being generated. It was all just excitement. There's plenty of profits and revenue, massive profits and revenue being generated on this hardware side. When it comes to the service side, companies like C3 AI, I mean, the high looks like in for the stock right now. It's mostly been trading sideways. There's not much excitement there yet, because to be able to get that service side to develop, you actually need to build this infrastructure. And the service side companies, they have all been kind of stagnant. Apple, IBM has their own AI, Google's AI, and then there's a few other major players that aren't even publicly traded companies. And I think that is very important to note, because I think that is where all the application for AI currently exists. On the corporate side, we've actually seen AI work against companies, like the Air Canada situation that I did a YouTube short on. Those consumer-facing applications are not yet applicable because AI still hallucinates, it still makes mistakes, and those mistakes can be extremely costly. However, in the private space within the company, you can fact check these and you can correct these. So when it comes to cutting some of your workforce on the inside, especially if you are an internet-based business or you are maybe working on a small startup, which is a huge thing, because these small startups that are happening right now have very small teams, but extreme productivity because they are utilizing AI to do a lot of the legwork for them. And I think that'll be really important for the future of angel investing as well, because you don't need as much capital as you needed previously to get a lot of these tech startups going. It's also massively beneficial for people like me, or maybe other people who do stuff like this, like content creation as like a side gig, or maybe they have some sort of sales business as a side gig. AI can be leveraged to the maximum in those types of areas. And that's never going to be reflected in the stock market in a positive way in the long term. Now, the reason I still say that the bubble is just starting is because I think right now what we're seeing is the corporation build out for the infrastructure of AI. But I think that the end game here is actually localized hardware for the individual. I think everyone's going to want to upgrade their PC to an AI PC and run their own AI themselves. And we've seen this clarified within the free market as well, with the backlash that OpenAI has received, the backlash that Google's Gemini has received. Maybe we'll see Apple step forward and do it right with localized chips on everyone's phones that have their own AI. But again, you're still running that through the filtered bias of these corporations. And in the type of culture we have right now, I don't think anyone's going to like that. So the end game winner will likely be open source AI, but it moves a lot slower than corporate, right? You have these corporate teams making money, producing this, working around the clock. Open source moves much slower. But that is likely what will run on everyone's individual PCs, which is why some stocks like Dell look really appealing, because that will cause a new market cycle of everyone wanting to upgrade. That could also cause another purchase cycle for companies like NVIDIA as everyone tries to upgrade to the best chips to run their AI. The same market cycle that we see within the gaming industry for the graphics cards right now, but this will be broader. And now in steps the conversation we got to have about these graphics cards. Groku is an extremely impressive small startup that's been in production for about 8 years, but last 2 weeks has just begun to go viral. This LPU technology that they have created is cheaper than NVIDIA's chips, and it's faster than NVIDIA's chips, and it's shown signs to be more accurate than the current AIs that we have right now. This is the huge risk for NVIDIA. Now, they don't have the infrastructure necessary to meet all demands of these big corporations, but it is going to cause a pivot. Whether NVIDIA starts making these LPU chips, or Microsoft creates their own, or Meta creates their own, or Apple, you understand where I'm going, right? It's going to cause a shift. This shift will cause more capital to pour into this space, more capital to pour in the market to try and keep up with the newest, the best thing. And again, another reason why this is not the top of the bubble. This could just be the start. So when I see posts like this, NVIDIA market cap now higher than all but only 11 countries in the whole world. There's never been a bigger bubble in our lifetime. 2000 and 2008 are dwarfs in this. By the way, 161,000 followers. What is that post even supposed to mean? It's completely meaningless, devoid of how much different this is than those previous bubbles, devoid of how innovative this technology really is, devoid of all the demand needed to create the infrastructure, create the technology of the future, in the revolution that will come after the incorporation of this new technology that at the end game will be smarter than humans, will be creating all the new innovations. With prompt engineering, it's a whole new role developed by this, and it's dictated by how good your questions can be, by how precise you can be in getting AI to do the things you want to do to solve the problems that you wanted to solve. This is not anything like anything we've ever seen in the past. You need to understand that the market has changed, society will change, everything is changing. And it's not one of those times where you're like, oh, this time is different, and then it ends up being the same. No, this is different. And I mean, we can even walk that back and take this at a very simple perspective. NVIDIA literally changing the world, most countries not doing jack squat. Of course it's worth more than them. And now let's get back on track to the broader conversation of the macro environment. The localized capital inflows within just a few names of the stock market makes more and more sense every single day when you think about the broader deflationary aspects of AI. This could be a permanent change within the stock market, especially when you think of the developments that we're seeing within robotics, and when you start incorporating the headwinds that we're seeing politically, such as California wanting to change their minimum wage to $50. Here's an example, actually. There used to be a career to be an elevator operator, and these people used to make equivalent to today about $60,000 a year. Really good paying job. When they all went on strike and tried to get increases to their salaries, instead of paying them more, corporations decided to spend the capital to create automated elevators, and overnight, that entire career was completely gone. So a restaurant's going to pay a dishwasher $50 an hour, or are they just going to get a robot, or even just like an AI-powered smart piece of appliance to wash dishes? I think the answer is pretty obvious. And then when you think about even more dangerous jobs, such as working on an oil rig or something where it's very high salary, and then you also have to have very expensive insurance, and then you also have to have very expensive health insurance benefits, etc. It kind of piles on top of each other. Are you going to have a human do that, or are you going to have a smart robot with AI do that? Are you starting to see the big picture now? These deflationary effects cause consolidation with allocation of capital within the market because of the dynamic changes that are going to ripple out within the economy. This is not the same, and especially if you do historical analysis to try and interpret what's going on, you are going to lose. Now, some things won't change, like the business cycle, like that period of, okay, we have the new tech, then we have the new tech for a few years. Okay, now a new model comes out, then everyone's got to upgrade to that model. Then you get another buy cycle, then you get another big rally within the market. Those things will not change, but the dynamic structure of the market will change. Listen, guys and gals, we've even talked about how AI is likely going to put the pharmaceutical industry in the dumpster as it puts biotechnology into hyperdrive, and all the positive benefits that brings to the healthcare industry as a whole. We even talked about how this is going to affect crypto. There are so many things. I'm absolutely bursting at the seams right now. I am so hyped I could run a marathon. It's midnight right now. I need to go to bed. I need to calm down. But you do not want to miss the plot on this. You will regret the rest of your life. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, you ring that bell, you hop in the Discord, you say hi, and you stay on track, okay? Pay attention. This is the most exciting period of time in our lives. And this bubble is not the end, it is the start.